What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Terrence "Bud" Crawford says that he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves from the fights that he fights, from the fight selection that he has. And he simply says that the fighters that he's fought, a lot of these fighters were undefeated fighters. And he feels that a lot of people should respect the opposition that he's facing, the type of opponents that's in the ring with him, as well as the PBC side. Okay, so what I've done, of course, I've done a little research, to support what Terence Crawford is saying. And this is what I came up with. If you go back and you look at Felix Diaz, right? Julius Indongo, right? Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez, right? Kavaliauskas, his last fight. Those are 5 guys that I mentioned. Do you know what all these guys have in common? Of course, they were beat by Terence Crawford, but what else? What else do these guys have in common, or had in common? They were all undefeated fighters. Every last one of them, okay? Undefeated fighters, along with a lot of these guys were champions. Jeff Horn, champion. Amir Khan, ex-champion. Julius Indongo, champion. So you had a lot of these guys. Victor Pascal, another undefeated fighter, champion. First pay-per-view event for Terence Crawford. A lot of these guys need to understand that Yuriorkis Gamboa, it goes back and back, that Terence Crawford snatches the O from these guys. Okay? British Prescott. That's the guy that knocked out Amir Khan the first time. People forget that. A hard-hitting hammer, the Colombian. Right? And people overlook that the guys that he's fought, none of these guys from PBC has really had the luxury of fighting. Like Pascal. Danny Garcia never fought Pascal. He went to 147. Okay? Julius Indongo. They never fought those type of guys. Jose Benavidez never fought those guys. No one on that side of the street. And I agree with Terence Crawford, because what it is, these guys on the PBC, these welterweights, they all have each other. You got Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. Who else is over there? Did I say Sean Porter? I did. Yuriorkis. Dennis Ugas, right? Ugas is over there, and Ugas is a very good fighter. I think he actually beat Sean Porter, and that was a knockdown in the 12th. The same way Ugas knocked down Porter was the same way Fury knocked down Wilder. Okay, so I think a lot of these guys are trying to rate Terence Crawford in his fights. Oh, he's running out of opponents. He's just beating everyone else that no one else is caring to fight, because they're hiding behind promotional companies. On top of what Terence Crawford said made a lot of sense. He was like, well, is it a problem with the promotional companies, the reason why these fights aren't happening? He said, well, who does the fighting? The fighters. If the fighter don't fight, the promoter don't get paid. They work for us. If the fighter says, I want the fight, make the fight happen. So what Terence Crawford is saying is, these fighters have a choice. Okay? Some of them. So the narrative is, I know Terence Crawford has a choice. That's why he's choosing to say what's on his mind and to tell you how it really is, or the way it's supposed to be. Okay, let's be real. Because if you have guys that turn down multi-million-dollar contracts, and just for the sake of fighting on a particular network, because they are a certain type of fighter, like an Al Heyman fighter, they're under that banner, something has to be wrong over there. I mean, look at it. Andy Ruiz just turned down $5 million. Well, he has money. He got that DAZN Joshua money. He may be an exception, may or may not be an exception. Deontay Wilder, Jermall Charlo, Danny Garcia. A lot of these guys have turned down massive amounts of money so they won't fight on someone else's network. But the best example that we had, or that Terence Crawford brought up, was Wilder Fury. He said, why did those guys fight? Because they wanted that fight. So they went to Al Haymon, make the fight happen. So that counters anything that we're talking about. When a fight really, really, really wants to get made, it's up to the fighter and not the promoter or quote unquote advisor. Of course, unless there's something that we don't know about. But if we don't know about it, why speculate? But we do know that Tyson Fury has fought Deontay Wilder twice. And none of those guys, and Tyson Fury has never been an Al Haymon fighter, ever. He's a British fighter. Right? Amir Khan has fought Terence Crawford. Got stopped in the 6th round. He quit on his own admission because he was getting tapped. Very frequently getting tapped. So his advisor is Al Haymon. Okay? So what's the deal? What's the problem? Amir Khan wanted to fight the best fighter in the world. You got to take your hat off to Amir Khan. He aims high. Okay, so it's up to the fighter ultimately that if these fights want to happen. Now, they can pretend to hide behind the promoter or advisor if they want to and blame it on the network, and if it don't make sense, this, that, and the other. No, if these guys want the fights, they know, hey, I want to fight this guy. You either let me fight this guy or there won't be any fight. Now, again, that's how it's supposed to be, because it may be some stuff that we don't know at the end of the day. But anyway, Terence Crawford pulled no punches on Errol Spence. That fight could be made. The Pacquiao fight could be made. So that's that. That's why Terence Crawford is calm, cool, and collective, because he knows what it is and he knows what it takes to have or to make a fight. It's up to the fighters. The fighters have to have a desire to fight a particular fighter. If not, that promoter is going to do the best possible thing that he feels for his fighter. Right? And make the easiest fights as possible. And that's why you have those type of fights on the PBC, some of them. Some of them are very entertaining. I'm not taking away, I'm not hating. But a lot of these fighters, if it's normally not a PBC fight, they're going to say, oh, wait, that's ESPN. We don't do that over here. Right? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Terence Crawford and his opinion and his comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.